back to the Sispatch with
Bevin
and Jasmine. Today we are going to be talking about arguably one of my favorite topics ever.
I just did a hair flip. They didn't see it. It was very dramatic.
They didn't miss out on much. We are going to be talking about one of our, I think, favorite things to do.
I remember what we're talking about
/ talk about. So I'm so excited for this episode. Today, we are going to be diving into the topic of music and choir. Hallelujah. I was gonna go, but yours was a little bit more fitting than mine. If you didn't know, which you probably didn't, both my sister and I were in choir in high school.
Yes.
We were both in choir. How long were you in choir? How many years were you?
I was in choir for, 2 years?
You were in choir for only 2 years?
I think so, yeah. I was in the girls' choir.
As a junior?
I think so. And then went to a cappella. I wish, because if you were 3 years, you get a Letterman's, right?
I think it's 4.
Oh, then maybe I was in choir for 3 years.
Maybe it was, I don't know. I was in choir for 4 years, but only thanks to you, actually. I auditioned before I was even in high school. Do you remember that? Like, I had to audition in one of those, like, portable classrooms.
Yeah.
Because the back one wasn't done yet at the time.
I auditioned in the portable one, too, and they made us sing, ready, 1, 2, 3, happy birthday. You didn't say it with me.
I didn't know that was a song. I'm pretty sure I didn't sing that.
What did you sing?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, and it was very, let me just be honest, it was a very low-key audition. It's just to make sure that you could, for the most part,
Keep a tune.
Yeah. Stay on key.
Well, again, this is one of my favorite topics. And
Same.
I think it's something that growing up, both of us have loved to do. Mm-hmm. And even when we were in high school in choir, we absolutely enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you, and
sure.
I'm gonna jump right into this one,
all
dear, right, because we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, I'm ready.
How does singing or music influence your mood?
Heavily. Because I feel like if I have a good soundtrack to work with, I'll be so productive.
Okay.
But also, if I have a really good soundtrack while I'm working, I'll be so unproductive. It just depends.
You're just distracted?
It just depends. No, I do work better with like a lo-fi soundtrack in the background. Mm-hmm. I was telling you this a little bit earlier today when I was doing my stream. Twitch.tv/
The self-plug. It's the self-plug.
No, I was telling you earlier how if I am like, I love Taylor Swift. Let's take a drink.
Cheers.
Okay, I have to talk. I'll take a drink when you talk.
Yeah.
I love listening to Taylor Swift, but if I have like her like track, like her actual track playing and not like a lo-fi or like instrumental version, I'll just be like singing along the whole time, without like doing anything. I'll just be like singing and dancing rather than working. So I can't listen to something with. And that's not just for Taylor Swift. That's any artist that I really love the music for. If it's a song I love, I'm gonna jam out. What are you doing? Why are you pointing down?
No, why is your phone blowing up?
Oh, it's our cousins. They're talking about things. Anyways, do you want me to mute it? Here, I'll mute it. Okay. So it really affects my mood, and I listen to it pretty much constantly. If I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm listening to like some music in the background. I
think same. I honestly, like, it's a make or break almost. And at my current employer, like, they have music playing in their big like open room, in the main part of the business, and they play it quite loudly. Sometimes they play really good songs. Like when I first started, they were playing Motown in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, you'd walk in and you'd be like, all right, then.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moved on, and sometimes when I walk in, they're playing, like, heavy metal. And then in the afternoons, it's pop and Hawaiian music right before I leave. But it definitely sets the tone. But when that music is not good, I have to put in my AirPods. And it makes me distracted to the point where I'm like, I don't want to be here almost.
Oh, wow.
So my productivity goes down the drain if I'm not listening, or if it's not, like, completely silent. Completely shattered. And I think that's why when I'm working from home, or if I'm working by myself, I like to have either a podcast, I'll have a show on even on my AirPods, or music in my ears. And I think at my workplace, I'm known to be the one that just puts their headphones on, do not disturb, but noise cancel, and no one can get it, like, my attention, because I've literally shut everyone out because I cannot deal with everything going on.
Yeah, there's sometimes when I'm, like, really needing to focus on, like, some people can, like, when they're studying or, like, writing, like, they can listen to music with, like, lyrics, or, like, listen to music and, like, be productive and, like, put out good work.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I have, like, especially if the song has lyrics, if I'm trying to, like, draft out an email for work or something, it's not gonna go well.
It's not gonna go well.
So there were times where I just have to shut, like, all music off to
get it done.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I kind of, like, it's like both ends of the spectrum for me. Like, it either is, like, super distracting or is super, makes me, like, really productive.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning, like, having Motown on, and I was just thinking about our dad when we were younger. He would put on, like, Motown music first thing in the morning. That's what we would wake up to, is, like, Motown music. Mm-hmm. And I do that for the kids too every so often. If they're, like, grouchy or something in the morning, I'm like, oh, no. This is not how we're going to start our day. And I'll just put on Aretha Franklin or something.
Yeah.
Or Earth, Wind, and Fire for them to get ready to. And then it kind of, like, perks their mood up. But yeah, I definitely think it has, like, an effect on work productivity and, like, my mood throughout the day. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I have playlists dedicated to specific moods. Like, I have a hunker down in work playlist. I also have, like, a candle time playlist, which is more calm, or more in my feels almost. And I've made the mistake of either playing the calm playlist or the in my feels playlist
at the
wrong time.
Oof.
I'm pretty sure there was a day I was listening to, like, worship music in the middle of my work day, and I literally was like, I need to worship. Like, I felt so, like, heavy almost, like my spirit was just, like, in the worship music. And then I've also had times where, like, I'm playing some really, like, some really like, pop music, and I was just, I'd be dancing, and everyone's like, why are you in such a good mood? I'm like, it's the music, it's not me.
Similarly, sometimes I get burnt out of the same type of music. So, like, I get in my, like, punk phase where I just want to listen to, like, Blink-182, or Linkin Park's not really punk, but, like, I want to listen to that kind of music. But then I'll just, like, listen, and then, like, I'm like, I need, like, some songwriter or, like, acoustic songs.
Artsy-fartsy stuff, yeah.
So then I have to switch over. A lot of the times, I noticed that my liked playlist is a lot of, like, singer-songwriter stuff. And so, like, after a while, I'm like, I need something more, like, just, like, music to, like, just, like, jam out to. So then I have to switch over. But I don't really have too many playlists. I have, like, the lo-fi. Usually I just search for playlists on Spotify, and then go from there. I'm trying to think, like, I don't have a lot of playlists. Do you listen to the day list on Spotify?
I've done that before, but I have so many playlists for myself.
It's just too much already.
It's already overwhelming. But something funny that I've done in the past is, and you're going to make fun of me for this, but I've made color playlists, and I've literally made playlists with, like, red, mauve, you know,
what makes you feel
blue,
specific.
Yes, and then I'll add a song to that playlist. Just because I thought it was fun, so whenever I'm in that colored mood, then I'll put that playlist on. It's not extensive, but it is what it is.
I also listen to the Discover Weekly.
I've definitely listened to that too.
And I've, like, come across a lot of songs. I'm like, dude, this is, like, a great song.
Yeah.
And so I'll add it to my
Spotify and even Apple Music does a really good job of recommending something based on your current listens.
I don't like Apple Music's recommendations. I feel like it's not, like, with the day list, it's like a 2-hour playlist. With Apple, it's like 30 minutes.
I think
I need more.
I think I listened to like the radio on Apple Music.
Oh, maybe I need to give the radio a chance.
I think it just depends.
Also, for Apple Music and Spotify, I have like two totally different genres.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to get my recommended list like mixed up.
This is like first world problems because both of us are like, I don't know, do I listen to Apple Music or Spotify? Because we both have subscriptions to both.
Because for example, T-Dog, my husband Thomas, he listens to a variety of different songs.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, sometimes if he just puts on, like, his liked from radio, he gets, like, Snoop Dogg 1 second, and then, like, The Killers, and then, like, just random stuff. Like, it's not happening. Willie Nelson will be in there sometimes. Like, what? Willie Nelson's not in there, but, like, acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
So I can't just go... it has to be very, like, specific to your mood or like the genre for
me.
I can't mix the genres. I can't have Taylor Swift and Blink-182. Well, maybe I can actually. It sounds actually really cool. But there's specific moods for those types of songs.
Can you imagine Taylor Swift doing a Blink-182 song?
I'm still waiting for grunge or punk or rock alternative Taylor.
She's coming.
I thought for sure Rep was gonna be that and it wasn't. Anyways, let's
take
a drink.
Was so Taylor Swift. Oh, Taylor Swift. Here we go. Cheers, everyone. If you don't already know, if Taylor Swift's name or anything Taylor Swift is mentioned, take a drink. Mm-hmm. Stay hydrated.
Only because I love her so much.
The next thing, I'm coming back to the choir thing,
okay.
Is something that I actually really, something that I really wanted to ask you because I have many references into this question, which is
musicals.
No, what is a memorable moment from a choir practice or performance that you have? Is there anything in specific that you remember? Funny, serious, whatever it would be.
I don't know. I guess it's kind of serious.
Oh no.
It's my first year. It was like the first day of school, I think, too. Or maybe it was the second day of school. I don't know. It was like the first week, for sure. But we were in choir class, and our teacher walks us through, like, the warm-ups. Mm-hmm. And we were doing the warm-ups, and it was like the, like, sustaining it for 4 beats or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was a freshman girl. She fainted in the middle of our warm-ups. And everybody's like...
Was she just nervous?
I don't know. I think she was I said it's freshman. I think she was a freshman, and... I think she was just nervous about school, and, like, I don't know if she was breathing correctly, like, using the
pressure.
I don't know. I felt
poor girl.
So bad for her.
I hope she's doing well.
Also, secondhand embarrassment a little bit, because, like, nobody wants to faint the first week of school and be known as the girl that faints.
Wherever you are, we hope that you're doing great.
We hope you're okay. We love you. Thank you for the memory. So that was a memory. Mm-hmm. Another one was going to New York. Obviously, that's like, I'll never forget that. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Did you guys go as an honor choir or just as the school choir in a competition or
we were the only Californian. That's another memory. Do you want me to go into that? We were the only choir from California that was at this, I don't know what it's called, competition. It wasn't really a competition, I don't think. Probably was. I just didn't care.
Anyways, some Sister Act stuff going on here.
So it wasn't an honor choir, but they had an honor choir with all, like, 4 people from each school. Mm-hmm. The soprano, alto, tenor, and, I was going to say treble, but it's bass, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You would have 4 people from each school, and then they were part of the honor choir, and I was alto for our school. But the memory was... We were going to the honor choir because it's separate. We'd have to wake up really early, like at 6 a.m, mm-hmm. for the bus to take us over there with other other kids that were in the honor choir. And these kids from the East Coast were like just asking, like, "Oh, like, where are you guys from?" And we were like, "Oh, we're from California." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, tell me all about it." Me, stupid idiot, I was like, "There's earthquakes every day." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, really?" It's like, "Yeah, it's so scary." And then my classmates were just looking at me like, "Oh my gosh, here she goes."
Sarcasm.
Here she goes. And I thought I was being very sarcastic, but they were, like, taking me, like, very seriously. And another thing, I was like, yeah, and, like, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt pretty much live, like, 2 blocks away from us. We see them all the time. I'm so messed
in
up.
the middle of nowhere,
They're
California.
like, oh my gosh. Oh, I remember now. I was like, I'm just kidding, by the way. Like, it's not that. It's not that
deep.
serious. We're just like you. Just on the West Coast. So that was a memory. Going to New York. There's lots of stories about New York, but...
I didn't get to go to New York when I was in choir.
I know, because we traumatized our teacher, and he was like, I'm never taking another trip with choir again. There were some bad kids.
I'm pretty sure the furthest we went was, like, Santa Barbara. And then it was, like, a day trip. Like, we came back in the same day, but it was a good time. Don't mind me.
So what was one of your memories, like, favorite memories?
I have so many.
Okay, we'll choose, like, two.
Okay.
I gave two.
Okay. So the first one is actually a practice memory, similar to your first one. We were doing this song in our class, and it was one of those very emotional, legato, like intense sort of songs. Mm-hmm. And our teacher, the same one that you had, was directing, and it was like he was directing with his hands very open, you know, and he went from one side, so basically looking at all the basses, and this part was supposed to go all the way to the soprano, so then he dragged his hand out really long, and when he looked at the sopranos, which is the part that I was in, this man had a big old thing of drool. No, that came like
gross.
Like maybe a foot. It was still connected, a foot to his mouth.
Mr. Y.
And then when he noticed that it was, he went tried to slurp it back up.
And must have been feeling it.
He was, and then it didn't actually like come back up, so it fell, like it dripped on the floor.
Dude, did you keep a straight face?
No, the entire soprano section just busted out in laughter, and he was like, so sorry. He grabbed a napkin and he wiped down the floor, but it was the most...
Sometimes when you're feeling it.
It was so funny, and like it took maybe 15 minutes for us to just like compose ourselves. Yeah. And whenever we sang that song from that time moving, it was the most hilarious thing ever. It was no longer an emotional song for us. It was that one time when he drooled, like it was really connected. So
so thick.
And that one was so funny.
Another memory.
Another memory. Oh my god, it's not even a good memory. It's a bad memory.
Is it a fainting memory?
No, it wasn't me. We were talking about Motown earlier. In our choir in our school, we did this annual thing, which was a Motown concert.
We were the first ones to do it in the jazz choir.
Yeah. Yeah. But after that, well, my sister is 4 years...
3.5 years older than you.
But in school, it was like 4 years. Oh, yeah. So we were never in school together, basically. At least high school. But we were doing this Motown, and I had a solo for Can't Hurry Love. Mm-hmm. And I had done Can't Hurry Love the year prior. Mm-hmm. But I had cut out basically the entire song. So it was like the first verse, the chorus, end. Like, it was basically a minute and a half long. Mm-hmm. The second year I did it, I decided to try to do the second verse and, like, extend it a little bit more. And I remember I had done it pretty well, like, the first couple of nights, because it's a couple days, that concert. And I get on stage, and at this point, I had 2 backup singers who were also, like, dancing because they were just so into it. But I forget the words to the second verse. And this is, like, a big stage, right?
Because we're getting embarrassed for you right now thinking about it.
It was so bad. And I, like, remember...
It's just the music playing in the background?
No. Well, the band didn't stop. But I remember looking at my 2 backups, and they didn't know that I was forgetting the words. They just were smiling, like, are you gonna come in? Or, like, what's happening? And I just shook my head at them. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You
like,
it was... You got the twisties.
Completely black out. Do not remember anything. I finished in the chorus, and I walked off the stage, and I was, like, on the verge of tears, wanting to cry, and they're like, no one would have noticed. And I'm like, I didn't sing the entire second verse. Like, I don't know what you mean no one noticed. But
it's always the embarrassing moments that scar us for life.
It scarred me so bad, and the worst part about that was that specific performance was, like, professionally recorded. So I remember, and it was like one of our members of the choir, her dad was the one that was recording, and he had like all the things and was, super tech into that. And I remember going up to her and saying like, hey, do you mind asking your dad if he can cut my song out of the recording? She goes, are you sure? And she's like, it's fine. I thought it was fine. I was like, just please, like, go ahead and cut it out. I was like, and she's like,
remember this.
She's like, no, it's fine. Like, go ahead. And I'm like, okay. I was like, thank you for doing that. She's like, yeah, I'll just tell him, like, to cut it out. So it doesn't exist, that specific performance.
It's Mandela effect.
But the great part about it is the very next night when we did the performance again, our mom and dad came and they recorded, and it went off without a hoot. But that's two of my choir memories. I loved choir.
I did too.
So much.
Did you go into the audition by yourself? Or did you take a friend?
No, I did not go by myself. I didn't. He was my friend, but wasn't my friend. He was more than your friend's sibling. Like, I actually had two of, like, the younger brothers come with me. We were in middle school at the same time. But I went to the high school, and we walked into the room, and we met the teacher, and he had to sing something. And I remember looking at them and being like, no one told me you could sing. Where did this come from? Like, I was
just randomly.
Yeah, and they were, like, more, like, strong, like, guys that were, like, on the football team and stuff. I was like, no, excuse me, sir. And I had known them for years at that point, so I was like, no one told me you could sing. But it was an interesting one, to say the least. But I did get into our second level. So at the high school we went to, there was, like, 3 levels of choir. It was basically a
beginner,
a freshman team, a JV, and then a varsity team, which is, they called it acapella. But I ended up getting into the second level straight away, so I never had to go to that first freshman class.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure I was in that first one for 1 year. I think I was only in it for 1 year, and then I went up to acapella for the remainder of high school.
Yeah. I went by myself. My friend just told me about it, and I was like, okay. And so I was so nervous, and it was like that long walk to the trailer in the back of the school.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had ample opportunity to turn around and, like, I'm very shy, so I almost turned around. I actually didn't go the first day of tryouts, and my friend's like, why didn't you go? And I was like, oh, I was hungry or something, like, just whatever excuse. And that second day I went, and I think there was, like, 2 other girls that were there, and I knew one of them, and the other, like, she was, like, more nervous than me, so, like, I know it's so bad. Like, it made me feel better that I wasn't as nervous as her. And so, yeah, I auditioned by myself. And then I was in, I don't know if did they have a boys choir?
No.
Okay.
That's the first level.
Okay, so I was in the girls choir, and if that one is more of, like, the overhang, like, there's too many girls in acapella, so you have to wait. So that's why I was in there for a year. And then that second year, I was in acapella, but yeah, I went by myself.
Moving a little bit backwards, I know I mentioned my awful, embarrassing moment during our Motown performances. Mm-hmm. Did you have any embarrassing moments during a performance? Like, whether that be choir, or at church, or anywhere else?
Embarrassing? I never had one where I forgot the lyrics.
So bad.
For choir, and I don't think for church I ever, like, started a song in the wrong key.
I literally wrote it down.
I never did that. I know, like, sometimes, like, when I, like, in my head I can hear the riff, and then sometimes it's usually, like, during practice I'll try it, and then, like,
it doesn't work out,
so I just, like, stay away from it. Not specifically singing related, but there's been times when I'm playing the drums at church, and I try to do, like, I don't even know what they call it, a fill. And it's just, it's not my best, it's not my best trait, or what is it, I'm like a very basic beginner at drums. So, like I said, I can hear it in my head, but, like, the application and actually doing it, and, like, I've done that in a service before, and it just doesn't pan out well. thankfully, it's usually our cousin that's leading during those times. So I tell him, like, if I mess up, just keep going. And he does, and he's playing guitar, so it doesn't... I'll be playing drums on Sunday, too, by the way.
Very nice.
So
Can't wait.
You'll get to see
Oh my god,
my
out
fills.
of retirement.
This whole thing.
Were you there in the congregation when I did my Friend of God, not the right key?
Yeah,
thing?
I mean, you've done it multiple times.
Oh, I know, but there's like one that I was literally scarred for. Like, I never want to do Friend of God ever again. Like, specifically in the key of A, like, I refuse.
I don't know if that's the one I'm thinking of, but I do remember the pastor looking at you like, this sounds funny.
I think it was the same one, but the pianist at the time, she wasn't, like I said, the most, like you said, sorry, the most, like, well-versed in all of the things. I think our dad, and even with you, like, when you play and you guys play, I can hear it a little bit better, but she was holding just one chord.
Yeah.
And
like
it wasn't in my normal key, and so I was so confused, and I literally slid. Like, if you're a vocalist, you know what I mean. I literally slid my voice to try to find what key I was in. It sounded somewhere along the lines of, who am I that you are?
Did you end up just cutting it?
Yes.
You're like, let's start over.
I was like, all right. It's been a morning for all of us. I was like, let's just start that over. And you were in there because you were laughing so hard at me. I was so embarrassed.
Very much me.
Luckily, the church that we were at the time was like mostly family. And so everyone just sort of laughed it off.
We've all had it.
I'm pretty sure because you were in the audience, you had to find it for me. And I was like, someone sing louder. And because I was the only singer.
Yeah.
No one could save me. And I was like, help.
Good times. Good times.
But, yeah, that was, and you said I've done it more than once where I've completely missed or forgotten or...
Yeah.
Whatever. I did that at the church that I'm at now, the new church.
Our cousin has done it before.
I started singing a whole different song.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was like one of the freedoms.
And one of them.
I just switched and they looked at me and I was like
wrong one.
Wrong song. And I remember looking at my best friend who was playing the piano and she was like giving me the eyes of whatever you do, I'm gonna follow you, so you better figure it out, sort of thing. And I was like, never mind, hold on, take it back. And I started singing the right song, but luckily I had a good team.
Dad has done that before, where he put the wrong one in
the order.
Yeah, but our dad, bless him, he's a little bit on the older side, so he can't change the songs like on the fly. As far as like, if he's playing one song, like that's the song we're singing.
I've had that happen when I was leading there so many times where I'm like, that's not the order that I have.
Yeah.
And he's like,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's already looked at me. He's like, I've already started, so you need to sing what I'm playing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's happened to us.
Love you, Dad. Honestly, our dad is stupid talented. Yeah. I think yesterday, actually, I was at the house and I was like, can I try something on the piano? And he goes, you mean this song? He pulled out the exact song I was thinking of. I was like, yeah. And he's like, how does it go? How does the verse go? And I sang it to him. The man picked up the song with me singing it a cappella. And I was like, oh.
It's crazy he plays by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And he just learned by looking over my shoulder the chords that when I was taking piano lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he didn't know chords until he just, like,
watched.
Secondhand watched.
Yeah.
But he plays by ear is insane. Like, changing keys, too, like, in the middle of a song. It's crazy.
Shout out to our dad.
Holler. Okay.
Is there anything that you've learned from choir or worship as far as using your vocals that you used in your day-to-day or on a week-to-week basis?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a story.
Oh, no.
So, any choir nerds will understand proper breathing techniques to hold out a note, or when you're just singing, like, you don't want to take a breath too early if you know you're going to have to, like, hold it out for a certain amount of time, whatever.
Yeah.
But with that, it's just like an athlete. with muscle memory, like knowing, okay, this is the muscle that I need to use to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like an athlete knows, like, okay, this is the muscle I need to engage in order to perform this moves correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Many non-singers don't know how to elongate their breath.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday we went to a graduation, and there was I had brought a big inflatable for my goddaughter to put around her after the graduation. We parked a couple blocks away, so I didn't want to like blow it up. I couldn't leave it in the car either, right? So I brought it. I have like a little inflatable vacuum. And so the graduation ends. I take the inflatable out of the box. I use the vacuum. I start trying to inflate the inflatable. The inflatable, you know what an inflatable is, right?
Yes, like the inner tube.
Yeah, the inner tube. So I'm using the vacuum, but it's not like, it's like pushing some air in, but it's not like inflating it. So I'm keeping trying, and like, she's gonna come out anytime now. Like, I need to get this done. And then the vacuum stopped. The battery ran out. So it's like,
well, be prepared.
Well, they're all looking at me. It's not even halfway inflated. It's still like flopping. So I just open up that inflatable, and my godfather, there's like two pieces to this inflatable. There's like a cone piece and then like a donut piece. So he's like, all right, let's do this, Bev. So he's inflating the cone. Takes him just as long as I do. I inflate that big old tube because I know how to hold out my voice. I know how to like keep the air coming out. And he's like, they're like, oh, she really just did that. And you're still doing the little cone. So, proper breathing techniques.
I've done that too, actually, with the recent graduation.
They don't understand how, like, I'm able to get so much air out in one push. Just choir.
It really is a choir thing. Or, like, that helps when I swim, too.
Yeah.
Because I can hold my breath a little bit longer.
And another story is, Thomas, he's starting to, like, sing a little bit. And it's very hard for me to, like, explain, like, how to, like, open your mouth. Like, when you sing. Because you can get sharp or flat.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, is knowing how to change your physical features in order to get the sound or the key that you're wanting. I don't know. That's kind of like a very specific example, but I think
though it very much is applicable to us though, because we use our voice so often.
Or like volume, even like how to be louder, like tricks to make your voice louder or softer.
I've had a lot of people that either I've been on teams with, or even friends that are like, how do you do that? Or how do you make your voice sound like that? And I had an instance where at the church I go to, I held a worship workshop or a vocal workshop. And it was something so simple in my head that I was like, I'm so surprised that no one knows how to figure it out. And I mean, it's something that we've done. But it was like the way that you hold a note and where you place it. And then even the way that the vowels, but even the way that you hold it. So if it's just like your regular voice, your mid, your head voice, which is like your falsetto, or your chest voice when you're like blurting it out to the
project
like
it.
And I had this entire team go out into like the foyer where I had really good acoustics, and I was like, now I want you to change. And I'm like, do you hear the change or the difference that you have? I'm like, that all is encompassing to your vocal. And it was actually a really cool workshop, but hopefully we get to do that again. We'll see. But I honestly love using my voice for singing, but then even in speaking and like public settings.
I hate it.
What?
I hate public speaking.
I know you do. But I've used those techniques.
You love speaking.
I just love talking.
That should be your headline, Jasmine. I love speaking. Period.
And rice and water, apparently. But I think it's just something that you carry with you, like after taking those classes and learning those techniques. But what is one thing that you like about your voice, like specific to your voice? Do you have a trait or?
This is weird for me to talk about because I never thought I was a good singer. When I switched churches when I went to down south and I got onto their worship team. There was multiple people that came up to me. They're like, "I love your voice," and I was like, "I don't know why." I honestly don't know why. And somebody told me, I don't remember who it was. It's like they were like, "You have like an old church voice."
Shout out to Grandma.
So I was like, "All right." So I guess that's what I like. I have an old church voice. I don't know. I guess it's unique. I don't know. I can't tell you because I don't know. Like, I don't know what to compare it to or myself to.
I feel like I can explain it though to you.
Okay.
I feel like your vibrato is large. Does that make sense? Like,
it's got a fat vibrato.
So when you hold out a note, you are able to, you can almost visualize, if you close your eyes, if you're holding out a note, you can see your vibrato spinning, if that makes sense. So when
so it's like a big, like...
Yeah, and okay. I think the way that
it's not a tight vibrato.
And the way that you position your mouth when you're singing...
Yeah, you've told me that before, too. Like,
is, like, more open and large than it is, like, squeezed. Like mine, because mine's more, like, piercy and, like, particular, I guess you could say. Yeah. But yours is very open and very large, if that makes sense.
Very choir-friendly.
No.
That's why I'm always in the back, because I'm too loud.
No. Well, choir is different than using your vocals on a worship team.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can hold a note in a choir and not have any vibrato, which is like the little that you hear in people's voice. For the listeners out there that have no idea what I'm talking about, you can hold that note as straight as you want it in a choir.
I can't do it.
Yes, you can. I thought you were going to do it, so I started looking away.
Yeah, we both were like waiting.
This would have been a great podcast to have with a camera.
It's like a, yeah? Like
yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard for me to do that.
We can explain.
I just, like, automatically want to go into vibrato.
Yeah, I mean...
Have I always been like that? I can't remember.
I feel like you have. Like I said, I think it's very much like our grandma's influence on your vocals, because when you were growing up, even with our dad and our mom, they all have the spinny vibratos. And it's very apparent. It's our, like, when they say our last name or, like, my last name, like, that's how we sing. Like, that's how our family sings. Yeah. So we get
old-timey.
It part of our blood sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I actually really like that about your voice. I think as your sister, I'm always critiquing you, and I'm just like, makes her flat sometimes, but but it still stays on top of the note, if that makes sense. It's just like when things are happening fast, people don't know what a vibrato is, and they're like, why does her voice do that?
Yeah.
AKA me. I'm just picky with your vocals.
I mean, it's because we know each other, and we know where, it's the sister, like, we know where our vocals are going to go, so that's why we're able to harmonize really well, too.
I've never been able to explain that to anyone other than sisters, that it's like...
You just know where
you know how to make your voices meld together. For anyone listening right now, my sister's drinking boba, and... What did you do?
The tapioca ball was, like, slimy.
Aren't they all?
I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyways.
Oh, my next question then.
Oh, wait, your voice? I like that.
Oh, my next question was, do you think I sang good?
No, yeah, my sister is much better at, like actually hearing the riff she wants to do and doing it, whereas me, I can't. Like, I can hear it, and I always tell you, like, when you sing, I'm like, oh, maybe you should do it like this. Like, I can't do it, but I can tell you what to do, and then, like, you do it. So you're better at, you have more range for sure in your vocals.
Well, see, something that's interesting is you say, do it like this, even though you can't do it, you'll do it in slow motion for me, and I learn in slow motion.
Yeah.
So if I'm learning a melody or a riff or a fill of some sort, I learn in slow motion. That's very choir of me, though, because the way
that's
that
how we do it.
Our teacher literally broke down in 4 notes a whole really fast line, and I think that's how something that I've learned and take with me is I'll try to learn it in slow motion. Yeah. And people will say, well, how did you do that? How did you do that with your vocal agility? Or, like, how do you be so...
It's muscle memory.
It is a muscle memory. And that's why when you hear a singer and they have like that iconic like specific thing that they do in like all of their songs.
Yeah.
It's their muscle memory.
Yours is sounding like a Disney Channel.
Please show me.
Hey.
What is that? Hey.
That's my impression of Jasmine.
I got you. Here's yours. No, yours is.
Oh. Stupid.
Well, wrapping up here, I just have a couple more questions for both of us.
Right.
Very general, and you can speed around this if you'd
right.
like. Is there a type of music that is your absolute favorite kind of music? Folk music.
Thank
really?
you to Dad for making me watch Robin Hood, the cartoon Disney version, like over and over again. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite Disney movies is Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. I don't even think Dad's ever made me watch that. It sounds like the song you made me.
Robin Hood fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think for me, some of my favorite is obviously it's like pop, but I really love R&B. And like Motown's good, or anything with soul is really, really.
I like singer-songwriter, acoustic, Motown.
I love
country.
I love gospel too.
Yeah, you do.
I love gospel. Is there any specific song that when you hear it, it always makes you feel better? You're like, I'm in a bad mood, but like it starts on the radio.
I'm drunk in the back of the car, and I drive like a baby going home. Cried like a baby, coming home with a fake fan.
Someone drink to the boba.
I don't want to keep secrets just to keep you. Every time, like, I hear that anywhere, I'm gonna be like singing it to somebody. Like, I'll sing it to like a random person. It's fine.
That's cute.
Yeah. That one, I don't know. Yeah, it just makes me feel happy because, like, we saw it live. So, well, did you see it live?
You saw it live. That's another podcast. That's another episode that we need to do.
Thanks, Rona.
Auntie Rona.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, I feel like it's mood specific.
Oh my gosh, one makes you feel happy. Ready, set, go.
Only one that
Ready, set, go.
The only one I'm thinking of right now is, I think it's an R. Kelly song. It's the one that says "I'm a flirt."
Sing it.
As soon as you see me walk up in the club. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I'll have to show you later, but it's like, it's one of those songs where I've known it from when I was in like middle school, and every time it comes out, I'm like, it's so
all my life.
Sometimes that's sad though.
I for someone like
you. Ew.
Shout out, Casey and JoJo.
Well, needless to say, choir, music, and singing is something that we have always loved to do, and even forced to do at a very young age.
We could talk about it all day long. Literally, this is almost a 45-minute podcast. We were trying to keep it under 30. And I think, like, we sped through some of those. We could have just spent, like,
I didn't even get through all my questions. Oof. So we definitely can do this as a part 2 another day, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But thank you so much for listening to us literally ramble about music and hum and sing in probably the most annoying way.
And that's what you missed on. Literally this episode.
But we hope that you guys enjoyed listening, and I hope you look forward to listening to our next episodes coming soon. But until then, this has been The Sispatch with
Bevin
and Jasmine. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to rate and don't forget to follow and all the things. Okay, bye.